Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Cozy Christmas Podcast. My name is Art and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful, relaxing day, spending time with your family, eating lots and lots of turkey and pie and stuffing and gravy and, oh, I love this time of year. Well, today I want to bring a somewhat different kind of episode than I usually have. Today we've got the Theology Brothers on the podcast. Now, if you listen to Totally Rad Christmas, you know that the Theology Brothers include myself, Thom from the Podcast, and Gerry from Totally Rad Christmas. And that group, it was kind of his brainchild. We've had a few episodes on his podcast where we've gotten together to talk about some religious aspect of Christmas, whether it's a TV special of the Nativity, cartoon about St. Nicholas we watched and talked about. So we get together to talk and meditate about the true meaning of Christmas. And so I have personally just benefited from this friendship this year, especially. And I'm very thankful for these two men who have invited me into their group to just to talk about the theology of Christmas. And so today I wanted to have them on to talk about Advent. For many, the Advent season begins on Sunday. And I wanted to make this year's Advent be a little more special, a little more purposeful. And so I invited these two on, and we're going to talk about Advent, about what it means to us, what are ways that we can be deliberate in our celebrating of Advent. So this will be a little more of a spiritual bend to this episode than I usually have, which is fine. At least I think it's fine. But again, I'm just grateful for these two and the chances we've had to get together. If you like what you hear here, then stay tuned because we will be on Gerry's Christmas Eve episode again this year. That's kind of becoming a bit of a tradition, one that I've really enjoyed. I expect this conversation will be a longer one, so I'm going to just be quiet now and turn it over to the Theology Brothers. Let's talk about Advent. Welcome to the Cozy Christmas Podcast. We've got a little bit of a different one today. I'm joined with Gerry from the Totally Rad Christmas Podcast and Thom from the Podcast. He is one of three hosts on that show. Along with me, we team up and we're the Theology Brothers. Kind of like what's that? Gerry, help me out here. Ultron. Is that Ultron? That
like Voltron?
Voltron. There we go.
Yeah. Ultron's the evil robot from the Avengers.
Right. I like comic book movies. Sorry, I don't do too much comics. So
That's okay.
Anyway, so we are the religious Voltron, I guess. So
I love it.
Anyway. Welcome guys. I know I've had Gerry on before, but Thom, this is, I think, your first time on my show, so thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Anthony's been on before and somehow didn't drop any F-bombs, so...
Well, I can just go ahead and say this is going to be a lot better episode than that one.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to be talking today a little bit of a different episode. We're going to be exploring Advent and just talking about what does it mean to us? What is it even? Even in our pre-recording conversation, I think, Thom, you asked, but which Advent? Which one are we starting? And I'll be honest, I had no idea. So I know each of you represent a kind of a different tradition. And Gerry, you mentioned you have an Advent episode coming out with Thom where you really dig into that. But like anything, like with Christmas, with anything, even with Easter, Advent can get very commercial. And I think it has its place. I see Advent calendars all the time. You guys remember when we were kids, Advent calendar had pictures inside. That's at least ours did. There's no candy, no Legos, no Funko Pops or anything, these toys you get. It was dark days back then, right?
That's right. That's right.
But let's go ahead and dive in here. See, Gerry, you're the one on my left on my screen, so I'll ask you first. What is Advent to you, and how do you go about celebrating it?
Advent is a season of the liturgical year in my faith tradition, and it's it's kind of odd because it kind of really has two different layers to it that are intertwined but are also separate. So it's a preparation for Christmas. Advent comes from the Latin adventus, which just means coming forth, and so it's a preparation for Christ's coming on earth. But originally, what most scholars think now is that it was actually the end of the liturgical year where they looked forward to Christ's second coming. And so you find these like two strata of texts, and where you have these that are about John the Baptist, prefiguring Christ, or not prefiguring, excuse me, foretelling Christ, and then you also have like from Jesus' the speech about the end times, and so it's kind of like a double preparation. So it's a period of not quite as intense celebration like as you would expect during the secular Christmas world. So for example, some of the things like the Alleluia in Mass is removed except on major feasts. And so typically when we sing the Alleluia, it's a time of intense joy, and it's like you're praising God, and it's like an ultimate praise in this great melismatic song. But we remove it during Advent because it does have penitential connotations about it. That's also goes hand in hand with our preparations for Christ's second coming. What does he say? Repent. And so it's kind of like a double layered thing. And how I celebrate it is in a lot of different ways. So I'll try to simplify as much as possible. But of course, we go to Mass every Sunday, and we hear the readings about the preparations of Christ's birth. We also at home, we have Advent wreaths that we light, and scripture and prayers that we pray every night. My kids like to do the Jesse tree, which I'm sure we can get into as well. And then a few other little things like that. We have a blessing of the Advent wreath, and because we put up our Christmas tree, we kind of obey a secular slant on Christmas tree, putting up our Christmas tree. So we do a blessing of a Christmas tree as well. And then like Las Posadas is something that is from my background, my Hispanic heritage. So we tend to do things like that. Also, we get a visit from St. Nicholas on the 6th of December. That's his feast day, where he comes by and brings little gold, they're chocolates, but gold coins. And then one of the things that I've learned to love, and I can't wait for Thom to kind of explain more about this, but lessons and carols. Sometimes I'll go to lessons and carols. I used to for a while do the Vincentian Christmas novena, which I can get into as well as we get farther into the episode. I know this is just kind of a quick rundown. And then sometimes I'll go to the oh gosh, I completely lost track of the Rorate Mass, which is a special candlelight Mass, usually done a few times during Advent as well, and usually held closer to the morning, as close to dawn as possible. And so that's kind of how I celebrate it. And then
y'all do that at your parish?
We do, yes. Yeah. So we have Rorate Masses. It's gorgeous. It's only done by candlelight, and it's really, really gorgeous. And then like I tend to try to listen only to secular Christmas songs until Christmas Eve, when I'll start to listen to sacred Christmas songs after that, and all Christmas season I'll get into that. So that's just my own personal thing. I try my best to be in Advent which is really hard when they're showing all this Christmassy stuff, and I really just want to go Christmas, but
Yeah,
I think I've taken up too much time, so I'll let Tom speak.
sure. Yeah.
Uh, so I just want to point out that for some reason, Gerry has decided he wanted to ignore one of the great saints from his tradition, Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, who talked about all three Advents.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
Nothing, I'm just joking with you. It's something that was new to me when I came back to Western Christianity, was reading Saint Bernard and understanding this idea of a third Advent in this time where we're reminded of the time that Christ comes into our individual lives and makes
Into our souls, yeah.
in our proverbial hearts.
Yeah, that's so real quick to interject. There's 3
Mhm.
masses said on Christmas Day. And so the first mass, the mass at midnight, celebrates Christ's coming on earth. The mass at dawn celebrates his advent in our souls, and then the third, the mass during the day, is kind of reminiscent more of his second coming, but also just our own birth and as into the church and things like that. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I was just totally kidding, but because I do love Saint Bernard's expository on that quite a bit. So I spent 20 years in the Christian East, and while there, Advent started for us earlier on November 15th, and it was a time of much more intense fasting than what I experienced in the West. I still try to hold to my Eastern heritage in when it comes to fasting for Advent, which is doing no meat, no dairy, no wine, no oil for the days of Lent. But I do reckon, or of Advent, but I do reckon my Adventan observation with the calendar at my church not starting on November 15th anymore. And for us, we really try to incorporate as much of our spiritual practice as we can. I'm with Gerry. I don't do the Christmas songs, but I do try to really focus in and hone in. And I think, Gerry, you do too, because we've talked about this before, on truly Advent songs of Advent. With the expectation, the O come, Emmanuel.
Right.
Here he comes with clouds descending, those kind of songs. We have we do in our home, we do the Advent wreath, as you said, Gerry. We do a cool tradition at our parish that I'm now the youth and family priest over our kids program, and I'm gonna have our kids lead it, but we make Advent wreaths with greenery at the parish together
that's
on
cool.
Sunday morning
That's
after
awesome.
service.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then we have a greenery tree, a greenery wreath at home. So we follow that and light the candle each night, and then every Sunday we light a different. We add a new candle to it, and we do the prayers.
Right.
This year I'll be doing the blessing of the Christmas tree at our house and of our Advent wreath. I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome.
We do some other things, like we have a few things. We didn't go down the secular path of Big Brother, Elf on the Shelf stuff that I find
we don't
kind of
either.
garbage.
Yeah.
So we have I don't know what it's called, the Giving Manger. So every time we have Ellie doing nice things, and when she does, she lays straw in there in a little manger, and then on Christmas, Jesus, we created a comfortable place through our actions, through our service to others, through our love. We've created a warm bed for the Christ child, and then we do Star from Afar, which is where it's really cute. I take the star and you hide it somewhere, and then the kiddo finds it. When your kid finds it, they move the wise men to the star, and they're making their way to the manger.
That reminds me, there is something that we do which is very similar, called Shepherd on the Search.
Well, what's that?
It's like it's a little bit like the Elf on the Shelf, except it's a little shepherd boy, and he makes his way closer and closer to the nativity that's under our tree. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But that reminded me of it. I'd completely forgotten until you said that.
And then we'll on Christmas Eve we'll put Mary, Joseph, and the the baby Jesus in the manger, but
Hmm.
the wise men still journey until Epiphany. They don't. We
Yes.
don't. We
All
don't
right.
bring them on the 6th. I mean, on the 25th. And then, it's really trying to stay. It's so hard
Yes.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I feel like that you mentioned the commercialization of Advent, and here's going to be me, my old man, and shaking my fists at the clouds.
Yeah.
The Advent stuff, we let our kiddo do it, but I don't love the Advent calendars because there's this component of like you're getting gifts early
Hmm.
Hmm.
instead of preparation. And then culturally, and I'm gonna um, hope my mom doesn't listen to this episode because she'll be very upset with me for telling this. But like my mom she takes her Christmas tree down the day after or the weekend after Christmas, and I'm like,
Oh,
Mom,
wow.
you have prepared for this for so long. And she's like, I know, but Christmas is over. And I'm like, no, Christmas has just begun.
It's just starting. Yeah.
Right.
If I had my way, my tree would be up until Candlemas. My tree would not come down at Epiphany. My wife is not quite on board with that yet.
Yeah.
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 So it's really hard to keep that focus, and it has to be intentional. I'm working on an Adventine series that I'm going to do at least in print, maybe videos of, to try to encourage others to hold the
Mm.
line, like in this spiritual battle that we're waging, where consumerism is replacing Jesus.
Hmm.
Well, and I remember you had a website as well where you were taking different hymns, right?
Hmm.
Each day of Advent,
I
and
did.
Oh.
kind of expounding on those theologically, and that was super cool.
It's going to be something
Yeah.
similar to that, but a little more developed. I'm trying to get it wrapped up by the end of this month. Actually, I'll probably share it with both of y'all and get your take on it before I,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to, for
and
sure.
then try to get it published actually as a book next year. But yeah,
Okay.
Art, you're
Yeah.
newer to this whole Adventin thing than the two of
Hmm.
us are. Jerry's done it his entire life. I'm at
Yeah.
25. This will be my 25th Advent.
I
What's it
guess,
looking like for you?
yeah, well, I guess my history with it, growing up in a very, very conservative kind of Christian atmosphere, it was basically like if anybody else does it, it must be wrong, so we don't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a horrible thought, just to be honest. As I got older and beginning to realize, hey, there's ways we can make this more meaningful,
Mhm.
beginning to look for things and adapt my practices to that, and kind of a confession here as part of why I had you guys on, because I want to know more
I'm not
about.
authorized to give absolution. I'm sorry. but
Okay,
Tom
okay,
can.
okay. That's right, Father
can.
Tom is here. Yes. When our kids were getting to an age where they understood Christmas and things, we did do the Jesse tree for a few years. My wife found, I don't remember who wrote it, but it's like a daily devotional she read aloud, and maybe this is what everybody uses, I don't know, but it was just very beautifully written, and each day talked about the different ornament you would hang on a tree. So we had a special tree for the Jesse ornaments to hang on, and I liked how that covered the story of the Bible and the story of redemption, from the beginning. And that was a lot of fun. And each night we would do it, my wife would have us light one extra candle. So the first night there was just one candle lit, but then by Christmas Eve, we had 24. And then I think it goes on to Christmas Day too. So we had like 24, 25 candles burning. And when you have little kids around, that gets kind of maybe a little more stressful than.
Yeah.
Did the fire department ever have a conversation with you about what
That's
you were
right.
No. We didn't. But that actually, that got me thinking along the lines of, if we're just waiting for Christmas Day, we're, like you said, we're missing it, because Christmas is really just beginning. And to me, that Advent is the preparation for Christmas. So how am I preparing myself? How am I preparing, my heart, my family to do this? But then not wanting to also deny, and on the other hand, deny my kids a lot of the fun of the season. Santa Claus and all the activities and all that. I think it has a place and it can be fun, but it can also overtake that. So you want to be careful, and I think one of you used the word intentional, and that's really I think
Yeah.
where it comes down to is we got to be intentional about that. But I still am relatively new to this idea, and I'm hoping this year to find something, maybe in a local church or something that is nearby where I can, or my wife and I can participate in and really bring some meaning to this time of year. Because I don't know about you guys, but God has been so good to us this year. It's just crazy what He's helped us with this year. I mean, obviously He helps us through a lot, but if it sounds weird to say, God's really outdone Himself this year. Is that theologically accurate? I don't know.
Great. Being thankful, that's a great place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been my history with it. In churches we've been in the past, I don't think any have even had a Christmas Eve service, which I know to some people that's scandalous. How could you not even have a Christmas Eve service? I know in our previous church we tried to have this is for Easter, but we had tried a Good Friday service, and it was just poorly attended. I mean, it was just nobody wanted to do that. There's years I feel kind of like Charlie Brown. What is Christmas all about here?
Yeah.
Looking for that something more deeper and more meaningful. And obviously, our faith in Christ does bring meaning to that. But just personally, I'm looking forward to Advent being more deliberate with it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And hear from you guys just some of these things. Now, I know, Gerry, you've mentioned using the Jesse tree as well. And Thom, have you used that before? Or?
We've never done that. No, we've never done the Jesse tree. I don't know a lot about it, to be honest. It's not what I'm familiar with.
I mean, it's a tree, but each day, at least the way we've done it, the kids make little ornaments. Usually they're just drawn or colored in something, but it's an ornament. And each day typically, and there's different variations, of course, but represents like a day in salvation history, but more specifically in like Christ's familial line. And so sometimes it's not every single day, but like you start with Adam and Eve, and
okay,
so you go through Jesse, King David, and all sorts of all the way up till the birth of Christ. And so it's nice because you go through it, you read the story. You read the scripture about it, and then you have a little chat, or at least we do. We try to talk about it with our kids, and then there's usually a prayer at the end as well. And so especially when they were younger, now that my oldest is 13, it's doesn't quite hit her as hard anymore, so we have to come up with different things for her. But so we do a lot of night prayer, and there are specific variations that you can do in night prayer for and by night prayer, I mean compline. I'm sorry, we do a lot of compline. There's a few specific variations pre 1954 that actually changed through Advent and Christmas and things like that. So with her, we have to go more, higher level. But the little ones still love listening to it and still love doing it. But that's basically what it is. It's like kind of going through Jesus's family tree, essentially.
For those wondering about the name Jesse tree, it's a reference to Isaiah 11 in the prophecy of the root of Jesse, and Jesse being King David's father, and how from that branch of his family there would come a root, the Messiah, Jesus. For those who might not know, I wanted to find there was this. I should have prepared a little more than I did. There was a series of books. Oh, there it is. One of the books was called Jotham's Journey, and it's by Arnold White-Tree. I can't pronounce his last name. Wow. Anyway, Jotham's Journey. It's like a Advent book. Story, like it has chapters, and it tells the story of a young boy and his was he a shepherd, I think, because there were several. There's each book followed a different character in the manger scene. So you had one boy who was in with the shepherds. You had another one who met up with the wise men. So yeah, they all show up at the same time. So sorry, but but then like the third book, it brings it all together, and so each year you read a different book and you read a chapter a day. We did that during Advent for a few years when our kids got a little bit older and were maybe not enjoying Jesse Tree as much, and that was a lot of fun. By the third one, and when you're starting to recognize other characters from the books showing up, I was like, hey, this is like the Avengers, all right, you know. Which my wife didn't find as funny as I did, but
they never do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'll leave information about those books, but those were a lot of our kids were probably grade school age when we were reading those aloud. And each chapter it's not like they're not like super short, but they're not really long either. They're just a good right length for a nightly read. But yeah, that was another fun one we did. Just to recognize Advent and try to get our kids thinking beyond, you know, like acting like Garfield at Christmas time, you know.
Right, exactly.
Gimme, you know.
That's right.
Another thing we would do is like local, like the library had an angel tree where there were families in need who needed gifts, and we would do that sometimes, and then take the kids shopping for other kids. Which when it was Grace. So I hope she doesn't mind me telling the story, but she was maybe a little too little for understanding that concept, and she had to pick out a present for another kid, but it was one she really wanted, you know, and she really struggled with that. And you know, are we raising a little heathen here? Come on.
Oh, there are days I wonder the same thing about my own. Yeah.
So one thing we did, like we do, like Gerry, St. Nicholas comes to our house on January 6th. On December 6th, and we put the gold coins in the kids in Ellie's shoes with an orange or something else, you know, little gifts. But one thing we try to do is try to teach her what it means, like what it means to be St. Nicholas. So we will do little things for other people where she can continue that tradition. And like give gifts to people without them knowing who she is or what we're doing. Not just an angel tree, but like people we know who need it. We also do a big angel tree at our parish. And this year I'm having the kids at our parish make sure that all the kids get purchased. Like it's never a problem, but I want them to like get up in front at the offertory, you know, when the announcements are made, and for them to talk about this and to tell about the kids on the tree and how we're trying to help them, to give them a deeper sense of the idea behind all of this is that we have Santa Claus, kids get gifts from Santa Claus. So the real St. Nicholas, you know, he did really cool stuff to keep basically, I'll just shorten among all of the things we know about St. Nicholas. One of the stories that we have is that there was a man with 3 daughters who was not a good person. He didn't have the money for dowry for his daughters, and so he was going to sell them into slavery, as the implication is as prostitutes. And St. Nicholas threw money in their shoes through the window for each of them to get their dowry. We teach that St. Nicholas did this, and kids get gifts from St. Nicholas now because of his extreme love for Christ. And because God loved us so much that he gave us salvation through Christ's sacrifice, we in turn, through our love of God and our love for Christ, we then give to others. And that really helps keep the Santa Claus and the season of nonsense in its proper place, I think.
Yeah. You know, I remember one year there was, my wife was always really creative with this. She put in like a jar of things you could pull out, and it's something nice we could do for others, like bake somebody cookies, you know, and that was a lot of fun because we got to, you know, make Christmas cookies and then give them away. Well, I didn't find that part as fun, I guess, but
right.
But there was enough. We have more than enough cookies. Believe me. It was important because Tom, like you said, we're celebrating Christ and what He's done for us, and He gave an unimaginable sacrifice. I always would joke with people in our church that it's like, guys, I like you, but I'm not going to die for you. No offense. But not like Christ did anyway.
Right.
You had mentioned lessons and carols. What is that? That's a new term for me. Tom, or
In the span of Christian tradition, it's a relatively new thing in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself as well. It started out as uniquely an Anglican thing at Oxford.
mm-hmm,
Um, so the structure of it is a service where you intersperse there. So we do at our parish, as an example, we do an Advent lessons and carols and a Christmas lessons and carols. So we'll do it before Christmas, and then we'll do it where we're doing the expectant hymns, the Advent hymns, and you read from the beginning of the gospel, the history of salvation. There are different passages that are read, but it's usually done in 9 or 12 lessons with carols that the congregation sings in between. Um, for the past 20 something years, it's been one of my favorite liturgical services I go to. We
mm,
used to go to my wife's parents' church. Now our church, now that we have are at a different parish, we do it and love it. But the lessons and carols started in the 19th century when a Bishop Benson, basically it was started with the idea that you wanted to keep people from getting drunk on Christmas Eve. So you add the service where people get to come sing.
mm-hmm,
Um, and it starts with 9 short biblical readings. It was eventually became a big deal, and where it got popularized was at Cambridge in King's College. The King's College choir, you can still listen to them do it, but it started getting broadcast uh, on the BBC in the 1920s sometime. I don't remember when exactly. I could look it up. But once it started getting broadcast across the BBC, other churches picked it up. It spread around the world. It's no longer just done at um, Anglican or Episcopal services. Bleh. Lutheran churches I know do it. I've seen some Methodist. I have some Catholic churches.
Some Catholic churches do it. Mm-hmm.
It's really become
mm-hmm,
a beautiful adaptation of an ecumenical service. That, like I said, it's if we look at the history of Christianity, it's 130, 140 years old. So it's not an old thing, but it's just
mm-hmm.
a really beautiful way to center yourself, to mix prayer and Bible study together, and really just sit together with others who are waiting for Christ.
Mm. Living in a rural Iowa town, if there's one thing we don't lack, it's churches. So,
Perfect.
yes. So that's going to be, I'll have to look around and see who's offering what. We've kind of, I think we already answered this question about how to make it more meaningful. Obviously you can go to different church services and things, but like anything you do a lot, that can become very routine, and you just
Mm-hmm.
go through the motions. To make it more meaningful, whatever it is we do, we've talked about things like trying to make it intentional, adding some of your own personal things to it as well. I know you guys have shared some of that. Anything else that comes to mind about, just ways we can make this more personal to us?
I think so. Like for Advent, it's the same as for Lent, right? Because
Mm-hmm,
there's a lot of overlap in at least in my tradition. There's a lot of overlap in
mm-hmm,
what they like, kind of what they prepare you for, right? For like a great
Yep.
feast of the church and a great moment of Christ in His life. And so, um, I think what I like to do personally is like, and this is for me as a 40-year-old man, so it's not going to work for everybody, but I tend to pray the office more. So
Okay.
as a layman, I'm not required to pray the office. The really
Hmm.
only clergy are the only ones that are required to say, like matins and lauds and vespers,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the little offices. So I try during the year. I typically I typically fail, but I make sure no matter how on top of it I am throughout the rest of the year for Advent and for Lent and Easter, but especially for those there, I try to pray matins and lauds along with Vespers. So I'm pretty good about praying Compline every night, but um, especially matins and lauds and Vespers, because matins is it's very scriptural, and you praying these psalms, and as you read each psalm before each one, there's like a little short uh antiphon, or like a little refrain for you to kind of
Mm-hmm.
meditate on as you're praying this. And especially in Advent, like almost every single one has a different antiphon, whereas throughout the rest of the year especially, you'll find lots of repetition. And so one of the things I love about it is that you find these different, sometimes the antiphons of lauds are different than those of vespers. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're the same. But you'll find a lot of very unique things, and a lot of it is just pleading for the Lord to come, and things things like that. How we're awaiting Him, and we're awaiting his, not only His return but also His coming on earth. And so I really, for me personally, get a lot of spiritual momentum out of that, and it kind of helps me really go forward. And then there are things that are taken away from us. So I mentioned, the Alleluia not being there, and there's like a certain color that we see during all of Advent, which is violet. And
Mm-hmm.
violet is
Hmm.
typically a penitential color that we see at our churches, but I kind of try to, at least personally, I also, in a weird way, I try to wear as much violet and purple as I can, because it also helps me remember that, hey, I'm not in Christmas yet, no matter what the world is telling
Mm.
me, And so, even if it's just something silly like a little violet bracelet that my daughter has made me, I try to find things that I can latch onto to help me remember that we're not quite there yet.
Mm.
And so I have to like trick myself into making things more special. There's some other things you can read. There's certain books, but for me, doing those, singing the Rora Te Cheli chant. That's another one that is very very popular, especially after the fourth Sunday. But singing that as much as I can throughout the season as well. So if I
Hmm.
try to get a song stuck in my head purposely, and it's basically, drop down you do from above, and let the heavens rain down the just one, and then there's some verses as well. But it's like little reminders like that that help me really focus. And then the other thing I try to do, because fasting in the West for Advent was never as huge as it was in the East. At least we
Mm-hmm.
have no record of it. So, like, the only time really that fasting is mentioned in the West during Advent is during the Ember Days, which
Yep.
are 3 days every year, every season, excuse me,
Season.
three
Yep.
three days every season. They're really are kind of like a reset. It's like a hard reset. So you fast, you abstain, and then on those particular masses, there's even more readings. So like on Ember Saturday, there's 7 readings total, out of
Hmm.
Scripture. And then you hear a chant it's one of the Psalms, or typically one of the Psalms, but then also the Canticle of Daniel. Like these things that are out of the ordinary. And so especially on those days, I myself, I try to fast as much as possible. Some years it just doesn't work because we're so busy during, I work at a Christmas store, and it's lots of running around,
Mm.
to where I just feel like weak and I have to take it. But I try as much as possible to fast and abstain from meat on those days, as a reminder of like, hey, look, I need this because my focus is slipping, and I need to refocus on Christ, who's going to be my food. So little
Mm.
things like that to really emphasize it, that we're not celebrating just yet. I know the world is telling us we are, but we're not.
Mm.
And then especially I ramp it up. There's something called the Vincentian Christmas Novena, which I mentioned earlier. It was done by the Order of Saint Vincent. They created this for the occasion of I believe someone's funeral. But it's essentially like the 9 days before Christmas, so it starts on December 16th, and there's it's kind of structured a little bit like Vespers mixed with Matins, but there's a lot of mix and match throughout all the pieces of Advent. And then there's a couple of original compositions that the author created. And it's really, really gorgeous. You're praying, you're saying the prayers. And at the very end, it ends with hasten, we beseech you, O Lord, do not delay. Grant us the help of supernatural virtue, which again is something that we don't always think about. But grant us the help of supernatural virtue so that your coming will be a consolation to those who hope in your mercy. And then you ended, of course, with the typical ending of, you who live and reign with God the Father in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God forever and ever. Amen. So, but it's things like these little phrases that help to really focus. And because Advent is so, we're looking forward to his coming, the O antiphons during Vespers and during the Vincentian Novena also really help us. It's like all these epithets for Christ, and each night you sing a different epithet. So, O wisdom, who came from the mouth of the Most High, reaching from the end to end and ordering all things mightily and sweetly, come and teach us the way of prudence. And then the next night, O Lord and ruler of the house of Israel, who appeared to Moses in the flame. These just we're asking Christ to come, but we're also remembering all that he's done for us and our forebears. And so that helps me focus truly on the meaning of Christmas. And I talked too much again. I'm sorry.
How do you remember Ember Days?
So, well, there's a really crude little poem, Lenti Penti Cruci Lucy.
Yep. I needed that because when you're
okay, what is this?
So
when you're a postulant for ordination, it's typical during Lenti Penti Lucy Cruci that you write a letter to the bishop.
Oh wow.
An update on your process towards ordination. Yeah, but Ember Days are great. To keep it from getting anything so I'll tell a little story. I went to Oral Roberts University. They had a church rush, which normal churches do, sorority and fraternity rush, but this is a very strong evangelical charismatic church school. So they had church rush. And I'm there, and we are the only liturgical church present. And this girl comes up, and she has questions, and she's somewhat aggressive in her questions, which I appreciate and I'm cool with.
Yeah.
So I come to find out she's a senior in high school taking classes at ORU, but she's asking very aggressively. And one of the questions she hits us with is, I'm always concerned when I see churches like this, like yours, because it feels like people are doing, are doing things just to do them. And I had to point out to her, and I think that's kind of the fear you're talking about here, Art, that you just start going through the motions. I had to point out to her, I'm like, in your church, you have a lot of people who are just, they read the Bible because they're supposed to. They may not be getting anything out of it, but it just, there becomes this like idolatry of the Bible where it becomes a thing you just do for people who are, of that persuasion. Anything can become a vain repetition. Anything can become an idol. Anything can become a distraction. We as Christians have to be extra vigilant, not just in our spiritual life, but in our everyday life, because this is a real problem. So I start with that, and I like what you had to say, Gerry. Yeah, as a priest, we have to pray that the office daily. One of the things I'm really excited about that our parish is starting this Advent, we're going to be doing the plan is for us to begin doing daily mass starting in Advent, but that's going to be something we're going to continue. So
nice.
That's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And then every Wednesday over the noon hour, priests alternating who's there for to lead the prayer of the rosary with parishioners, and then have confession.
Awesome.
So, which is, um, as a priest who will be hearing my first confessions, it's extremely humbling. I'll go back
Yeah.
to one other thing that's been really interesting since I've started celebrating the Eucharist. There's a point in the service art that I don't know that may or may not ring with you, but Gerry, I know will ring with you, where the chalice is lifted with the host.
Mm-hmm.
It said East, West, Catholic, Anglican. It says the gifts of God for the people of God. There's something about that, and I was telling my priest, it's one of the most humbling things to lift up the body and blood of Christ, make that proclamation. And I feel like if I ever get to a point to where I'm not taken back and in awe, and I'm doing that, then I'm going to retire.
Mm.
And that has to be our mindset going into Lent too, or going into Advent as well. We're doing these things because we want to grow closer to Christ. It's a time we could do this any other time of the year, but it's a time that the church has historically set apart for us to reset, for us to align our focus, for us to remember, like you said, Jerry, there was a time where the people of God were waiting for their Messiah. They were calling out, and
Mm-hmm.
they were waiting in anticipation. We as Christians should have our eyes set for Christ's second coming, for no man knows the day or the hour. We forget
Mm-hmm.
that and just go about our daily lives all the time. This is a good time to remind ourselves of that, and to remind ourselves that Christ is here and ready to meet us now where we are,
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
we'll open ourselves up.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it has to be a mind shift. And it's, you know, I know it's not in vogue for a lot of people in our society, but I do believe strongly in the spiritual warfare and the idea that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big time.
there is evil. There are evil agents in the realm here. And if we look
Yeah.
around, if you go to stores, you turn on the radio, we are using Christmas as a distraction from Jesus during Advent and the Christmas season.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one of these people that says, "Oh, you can't say Merry Christmas, keep Christ in Christmas, all that stuff." I don't Nobody's attacking me or telling me I can't tell them Merry Christmas. Like, that's just not a thing I've ever experienced. But I feel like everything is a lot more subtle than that. It's like, "Oh, hey, look at this shiny. You could go to church, or you could go to this concert tonight for Christmas, or you could go to this, this event or this party. You're fasting. Oh, you know what? Your office party is having a lot of like real rich, decadent foods and alcohol, and it's a great time, to kick back and relax and celebrate." Well, we're not celebrating yet. So there's an ascesis there that we also have to keep in mind, not
Mm-hmm.
to make us sound like martyrs, because it's not something we're forced to do.
Right, right.
Right. Right.
Because we love Christ, we just have to be vigilant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the best part about doing that is that when Christmas comes, we have until Candlemas to really celebrate Christmas.
We do it if your wife really loves you, she'll let you keep the tree up until February 2nd. Christine.
we did that once, that the tree was still up in February, but it was only because we were just so busy. We never had time to take it down. And then any free time we had, I'm too tired. My wife was embarrassed. It was still up in February.
Oh man, I flaunt it. I'm like, yeah, my tree's still up in February.
Sometimes I can get her on board to keep it up till about January 6th, but we'll see how the new house feels, because
Yeah.
our tree did take up a lot of the living room space in our old house. So we'll see what I can get away with this year. So I like being able to, try to balance the fun with the serious, and not that religious things can't be fun. I mean, I don't want that to sound like, church is boring,
Las Posadas, everybody has a blast.
That's right. But yeah, it's Thom, as you were saying, to be aware of that. Where we used to live, they would have in December, they would have a breakfast with Santa. And it was on a Sunday morning during the time that people are normally at church. And I think it was like a fundraiser for the fire department. So, and a lot of people would go to that, and they would either miss church or I don't know what. That always seemed kind of counterproductive to me.
Yeah.
It feels wrong.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
Santa would slap that fake Santa, right?
We know St. Nicholas would. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean.
right.
Santa would slap him hard, man.
That's right. Yeah. And it's a good cause, fundraising for the fire department and things like that. But you couldn't have found a better time to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't do Saturday morning because kids have soccer, right?
Right. Even in December. Yeah. They always have something going on. I don't know what we're going to do when all of our kids are out of the house and we're not taking them somewhere. So
There's this shirt I saw that I really want to get, and it just says, if you have time for blank, you have time for church.
oh, yeah.
And it just
True.
fills in whatever it is. Because my usual thing I tell people is like, oh, yeah, I get it. You have a soccer tournament on Sunday. I'm really glad Jesus didn't have a soccer tournament to go to instead of Golgotha.
We used to call those Jesus jukes, you just Jesus juke someone.
We're really intentional. Ellie cannot do other events on Wednesday nights or Sundays when we have
Yeah.
if we have regular mass, she can't be involved in other programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Any other time we can be flexible and
mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This has been just spiritually and refreshing for me, guys. I really appreciate you taking time today to chat with me about this. I suppose we should probably wrap this up here soon, or we'll have a a much longer episode.
Or it might be
fine,
as
I'm not
long as
editing.
it might be as long as our East Meets West episode.
There you go.
It's fine, I'm not editing. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Before we go though, Gerry, what are you looking forward to most this Christmas season?
Christmas season or Advent season?
Oh, well, how about let's go Advent season. We'll stay on topic.
No, yeah. So I think this Advent, I'm just looking forward to kind of refreshing myself and really keeping things simple, trying not to go over the top with Christmas decorations, trying not to go over the top with sweets and things like that. I really want to just focus on why we're celebrating, and but at the same time, I want to make sure that I spend a lot of time with my family as well, because especially November, working at a Christmas store is great, but I'm there for about 10 to 11 hours every day, 6 days a week. Like I have to go to an early mass Sunday morning because it's a mortal sin for us to miss mass without. I mean, there how it is, certain things, but so I'm looking forward to everything winding down, me spending time with my family, growing closer together, and worshiping and getting ready for God on earth. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. And not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to the M&M cookies and the Mexican hot chocolate. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, we're all about telling the truth here. So if you can't be yourself with us, who can you be? And then, Thom, what are you looking forward to most this Advent
This is
season?
my first year running the youth program at our parish, and I think I'm looking most forward to sharing some things with the kids and families, and making a new, like revamping our Christmas pageant and making a great Christmas Eve service for our kids in the parish.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to rub it in at all, Thom, but this Christmas season is looking a lot more relaxed for me than in past years. So I'm looking forward to that. But really, this Advent season, I'm looking to be refreshed.
Yeah.
In that same way. And of course, you can seek that any time of year, but it's such a special time of year. You know, on my podcast, normally I share stories and read stories and things like that. And if you'll allow me to sound corny for a minute, I mean, Jesus is the greatest story, and celebrating that, I'm really looking forward to this year. Just having had a year where I've sought spiritual refreshment, and God has provided that. I'm looking forward to what he has in store this Advent season. So, you know, only God knows the future, and he's not telling anybody anything specific. So I know whatever it is he can handle. And I'm just looking forward to a time to celebrate that and the greatest story that Jesus came, and learning, you know, that Advent, that anticipation, and not being so quick to rush back to life on December 26th. I've never been one to do that anyway, but really understanding that celebration doesn't end on Christmas Day. It begins.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think, Gerry, you were saying. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, it has been good to have you on. Always good to get the Theology Brothers together. No, normally you can hear us once in a while on Gerry's podcast, Totally Rad Christmas.
It's Christmas Eve, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get together Christmas Eve, leave our families behind it. No. Meet up somewhere. You know, I'm thankful for technology that we can connect like this. This has been great.
Amen. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I never would have met you guys, and you guys are like some of my best friends. So
yeah, absolutely. And then let's see, Thom, do you have anything you have coming up you want to promote, or
nah,
give a shout out? Okay. Yeah. You've got a new little podcast, Tis the Podcast. I know many people probably haven't heard that one yet. So
no, it's a little weird. It's a little weird thing we got going.
Yeah. No, but I
got my Tis the Podcast mug here.
All right. No one likes a kiss up, Gerry. So
All right, send me your mailing address and I'll send you a mug too. We've got a few extras left.
Okay, I'll do that. I would love one. So anyway, guys, thank you. Gerry, I know you and Thom both have a special episode coming out on Advent as well. You want to give a little plug for that?
Yeah, so this is something that we recorded, I think, 4 years ago, Thom.
Oh my gosh, is it that long?
It's either 3 or 4, and
Wow.
Both of us were busy editing like crazy, and we just never got a chance to get around to dropping it. And I finally started editing it when I had a little bit of free time a couple of months ago. And so it's going to drop. We're going to get really into the liturgical side of Advent, where we talk about all the traditions of the Latin Church and of some of the Eastern Church as well, or Orthodoxy. And so, you know, the Catholics and Orthodox. And so it's really, really interesting. Some mind-blowing things that I'd never thought of that, you know, the East does. And it's just, there's a lot of little details that move around and things that are just different, and like really bring the season, at least when you're at church, really bring the season into perspective. And so it's going to drop on the first Sunday of Advent. So that Sunday, I think it's November 30th this year, and it'll be so after you listen to this episode, go check us out.
All right, well, thanks again for coming on, guys, and want to wish everyone a happy Advent and hope it's meaningful for you. Thank you again, Gerry and Thom, for coming on the podcast. It's just a really encouraging conversation. And I hope it gave you folks something to think about this year, that whatever your beliefs, that you take some time to make this season be a little more purposeful, be a little more present. It's easy to just go through the traditions that we always celebrate, and without stopping to think about why do we do this? And I feel like at times asking why is a good thing to consider. And I think that's how we can begin to make this time of year memorable and impactful. My hope for you is that this Advent season and Christmas season is one of great joy and meaning to you. I'm still not 100% sure what I will be doing for Advent, but I am definitely going to be looking for some things to read and to study during this time, as well as maybe looking at some of the area churches that we have here to see what kind of programs or studies they might have going on, just to explore more of that side of Christmas. I would love to hear from you. If you have special Advent traditions that you do, I would be more than happy to hear about them as well, and might even read them on an upcoming episode. And also, because this is Thanksgiving, I do want to take just a moment and acknowledge all that I have to be thankful for this year. I believe I mentioned in the interview, but God has been so good to us this year. I think I like to say that not only has he been good, but he's been kind to us. So I am just thankful for what he has done. You know, we had a lot of changes happen this year, as I've talked about in the past. And at the end of this year, now we look back and can't imagine, how did we get here from, back in January? A lot changed, and God just brought it all together for us. And I'm in particular very, very grateful for that this year. But that's all I can really say about it. But I would encourage you to take a moment to be thankful, whether it's to God or to someone in your life who has meant a lot, somebody who has helped you through a hard time. Reach out to them and tell them thank you. Tell them what they have meant to you. And I know they'll appreciate hearing that. All right. Well, we will be back again in probably just a few days with another episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for helping me build this cozy Christmas community. And so until next time, let us remember to honor Christmas in our hearts and try to keep it all the year. Have a very Merry Christmas.